Hey everyone, it's Janet here. I want to make today's video all about A-Trak's style evolution over the years. And the reason why I want to make this video is because a lot of my work is around style for self-discovery, and it's about transforming into the person that you're becoming and creating that vision. And part of creating that vision is seeing what kind of clothing styles and wardrobe styles and what kind of pieces and colors and textures and ideas just come into your world. And so what better way to show you, tell you. I wanted to share this example, like how I see the style for self transformation with one of my favorite DJs, because it's really cool to see how his style has changed over the years. I'm a huge electronic music head, and I've been following A-Trak for quite some time, like probably 20 some years. He first came onto the scene during the Indie Sleaze Bloghouse era of the early 2000s. He's very well known for remixes such as Head Will Roll by Yaz. And I thought this video would be a great way to show you his style has changed and why it's changed from my perspective, and what I see the stylist perspective, why he made those changes and how they influenced his music and how they influenced where he was living at the time, because he's originally from Montreal and now he lives in Los Angeles, and he's lived in New York for a period of time too. So I wanted to teach and show you all these different examples of his own transformation over the years, so you can see and apply it to your own style and your own journey. And so you can see in this next chapter where you're headed and how you can use your style to best express and represent who you're becoming. Also inspired because I saw A-Trak at a Sunday day party here recently in San Francisco. And it's very rare that I would see him DJ on his own, because a lot of his DJ projects are with his other aliases, like the Brothers Malkovich with Dave One, his brother, or with Duck Sauce with Armand Van Helden. And so it's very rare that he plays day parties. So it was just a really great opportunity to see what he was wearing, what kind of music he was playing, and get inspiration from him playing kinds of music and track selections. So if I could totally be like I mentioned before, so A-Trak as strictly a turntables. So turntablism is different than being a DJ like at a club. There are two different types of DJing, and so it was really interesting to see how he went from being a hip hop champion, turntablist champion, how he evolved in his musical creativity to now record label head honcho with his own label Fool's Gold, and now someone who's very well known and very established in the dance music scene with great music collaborations and side projects. And his record label is heading towards 25 years. So that's a pretty huge achievement. So I'm going to break down his looks over the last 20 years. So turntable championship at 15, he's just a 15-year-old kid. He's not going to be wearing anything fancy. He's wearing what I see from this video, a giant oversized t-shirt. Nothing crazy. And so we go into the early 2000s era, which is the fitted cap that he's still trying to figure out where he's going. So you get the early 2000s, which is like the beginning of the indie rock and roll and indie sleaze. The Strokes, the Electro Clash movement, the Yeah Yeahs, Kaiser Chiefs, Franz Ferdinand, all those acts were emerging onto the scene. And there was this like weird intersection between indie rock and roll and DJs, because a lot of the DJs would be remixing those indie rock and roll tracks. And so you had early 2000s A-Trak. I guess I can't seem to. So you can see early 2000s A-Trak is him with a t-shirt and a baseball cap. You can see here that he's wearing this baseball cap and a leather jacket and what looks like a flannel shirt or a plaid shirt. So he's still like getting into the scene of being electronic music DJ. And now that he's starting to dip his toes into this new scene and kind of evolve in his creativity and his music, you can see that he's experimenting with going from a 15-year-old kid to 21-year-old A-Trak, figuring out how to express himself. This is a really cool look, I thought. It's, the leather jacket, the plaid shirt, the sideways baseball cap, and so this was the early 2000s A-Trak. So it was very part of the indie sleaze scene. And by early 2008, he was headed to New York. His brother Dave One was teaching at Columbia. And so he joined his brother in New York. And so New York's a whole different style, also like emerging as the epicenter for the indie rock and roll scene. That sort of like electronic music, indie rock and roll convergence intersection was coming together at that point. And A-Trak starts to switch into a different kind of look. You're in New York, you're cool. It's like the Bowery Ballroom. You want to fit in with the indie rock and roll scene, which is like skinny stovepipe jeans, leather jackets, and he added the fedora. So I thought that was very reminiscent of his New York era. Very downtown cool, very Bowery Ballroom, that sort of grungy New York rock and roll scene. So it's interesting to see him go from like baseball cap A-Trak to New York cool with the fedora hats. You can see all the different fedora hat looks that he's had over the years, which is really fun. It really feels very New York. And so you can tell, like, when you're in a different city and you're in a different environment, you want to freshen up a little bit. You want to switch it up a little bit. You don't want to wear the same style that you've been in because you're in a whole different place and the energy is different. And the environment and the creativity and the scenery and the culture inspires you. And so it was just cool to see him take on the fedora piece. And that was part of the New York scene. And then he decided to move to LA in 2014. So LA is a whole different environment. New York is very trendy and LA is also trendy, but like more laid back for casual. And you can start to see that looks like 2017, he starts to change his hair color. And so he goes from really dark colored hair to beach blonde colored hair. And that was really cool. You can start to see that LA is bringing on that inspiration. That blonde hair color was maybe inspired by LA and being in LA because there's a lot of blonde haired people in LA. It gives you that Hollywood vibe. But it also gives you that cool beach, sun-kissed kind of look. So that's where I think he took that inspiration for changing of his hair color. I don't know officially, but that was my hunch. And so it was just really cool to see that at every stage of his journey and his artistry, where he was going and where he was living, that his look evolved. Like, he's started as a hip-hop turntablist, and then he was Kanye West's DJ, and he was going for that hip-hop DJ, touring DJ look. And then he went to New York. He was part of that indie sleaze scene, and then he added the fedora, so it was very like cool and artistic and literary. And then he goes to LA and starts up residency there, and you got the beach blonde hair and kind of more casual, more urban, but you can start to see his style is a little bit different. You can see that it's more like laid back, it's more creative, it's more interesting. Like, he wears a lot more like fun, cool t-shirts. You can see that his jackets are more like urban and more streetwear-esque. You can see this blue, like tie-dye camouflage print. And then I will bring up a picture when he played at the day party in San Francisco recently, and he was wearing this camouflage jacket that was just really cool. It's very urban. It's very still hip hop, but it was just the fit was just very like urban, casual, streetwear cool. And then starting to get more creative and more expressive, like the blue tie-dye jacket, the blue sort of the blue and white printed jacket is very visceral, and you don't see a lot of people who take on that kind of aesthetic. And I think that kind of aesthetic was driven or inspired by establishing himself even more in the realm of dance music and becoming more well-known, becoming more established and feeling more comfortable and experimenting more with different styles and different pieces. When he's not A-Trak and he's got the duck sauce bomber jacket and the duck piece as well. And then when he's with Brothers Malkovich, it's like a whole different aesthetic. Last year when they played the block party in San Francisco, I didn't go to the block party. I went to the after party with the Brothers Malkovich. He was wearing this printed cheetah sweater, V-neck sort of cardigan sweater, and Converse, the original one with the black suede and then the star at the side, and some khakis. I think it's dark, so I couldn't quite see, but either khakis or jeans. Depending on which alias he's playing into, his style changes to fit that specific creativity that he's presenting himself as in the moment. It's a great lesson for all of us, too, that you can see if musicians spend as much time and energy and put the thought into how they're presenting themselves with the different kinds of projects they're doing. It's really inspiring and exciting to see how his style has changed, because it gives you the encouragement and the courage to also apply that to your own creativity and your own journey and to where you're embarking on the next stage of your life. You can see artists when they're, changing genres, or they're changing locations, they're changing residencies, like their home bases are changing, or they're starting to take on other projects. Their style changes because they're no longer the same person anymore. Like A-Trak started out as just a turntablist, and now he's a very established record producer. He can still do turntablism, but he can also DJ, and he's learning. And so getting more established in that artistry and that creativity and skill set helps you have the confidence to continue to do that and evolve in your work. We can learn all from that kind of evolution and apply it to our own journey and ask ourselves, like I do with my clients, okay, who am I becoming at this next stage? And what does that mean? And what does that look like? What colors, like I've said before, and I can add a link to the style board course that I do with my clients. So you can use that as a launching pad for your own style journey to discover who you're becoming and use that to really express who you are and better present yourself, and to better presenting yourself in the way that you're wanting to be. And by presenting yourself and by using your style as a launch pad, and you get to, by using your style as a launch pad for who you're becoming, self-confidence elevates, your voice strengthens, you become more self-aware, you start to feel very strong about what you like and what you don't like. And at the same time, because you're becoming more visible and you're willing to put yourself out there, you put yourself out there in uncomfortable and challenging situations. People start to notice you. Opportunities will come towards you. People will want to get to know you. And it feels like a transformative experience. And that's what's beautiful about getting into this like discovery of where your style is going at any stage of your life. I hope that was helpful. I will include some clips. I'll link to some clips I took from the day party. And I'll also link to some other, I'll also try to put some photos from other people that took photos. The videos, you can see the whole look. It is actually one of my favorites. I love that camouflage jacket a lot. You can see he's really come into a place of creativity about his own style. And tell me, which ones were your favorite looks? Did you like fedora A-Trak? Or do you think baseball cap A-Trak? Or like emerging into this techno DJ, establishing himself as a techno DJ A-Trak? Or current A-Trak, which is very cool, very creative, very streetwear, very urban? So I'd love to hear what you guys thought in comments, so hit me up, and I'll talk to you guys soon.